we're in sport mode and it just... At first glance, all you guys can see behind me is an M235i. A tastefully modified one at that. And at home is another tastefully modified F22, a BMW M240i. Now, I can't obviously drive both to the same location at the same time, so we're going to go and get that one shortly. However, this video has left me in a difficult place. I'm completely torn between both of these cars. Now, a lot of you will see at first glance, these BMWs don't look very different. However, they have got completely different characters, from the engine to the outside to the driving to absolutely everything. And when I get behind the wheel of one of these cars, it leaves me completely torn between both of them. Now, this is my M235i, and if you guys have been following the channel for a long time, you'll know this is my pride and joy. And at home, which is all the way over there, is the M240i. Technically not my car, however, they look very similar, but that is literally where the similarities end. Now, very shortly, we're going to be taking this one back home, and we're going to start up the M240i and drive it to the same location. So stay tuned in just a second for that. That behind me is the N55, and it literally feels like an event every time you start it. And this engine, it's no joke. I recently made a video on how I think this thing sounds literally like a supercar. I'll put a clip on screen now of what this thing sounds like. It's unreal. Now, when they are mapped in, the overrun, the pop and bangs, the burbles, it sounds great. The whole engine is just an absolute pleasure to drive. And in my opinion, this car feels like you're actually driving it. Whereas the B58, on the other hand, which we will get into, feels more like you're a passenger. The B58, it's refined, it's polished, but it almost feels like BMW just nailed it a little bit too well. It is just too good. The way I view it, this engine is like a wild party. The B58, on the other hand, is like a guy who's got his life in order. And the way I look at it, it just depends on what you guys value more. That's enough talking for the N55. All we can do now is take it for a drive, and I can show you guys exactly what this thing is like, because it is an incredible car. It's tight, it's fast, it handles well, and it sounds absolutely superb. And this has been a journey. Opening the door, sitting in with my Cooper S mini mats, putting the car in neutral, starting it up. It's a whole procedure and it's a whole load of fun. And the whole car, when you're in it, like I am now, it is such a cool place to be. Now, one thing to mention about both of these cars, they're tuned, and I've done all that. I've, mapped them with MHD, as most people with BMWs and M-Lights do, and that totally changes the characteristics of these cars. It makes them absolutely just the best thing you can buy for the money that they are. And as we know, both cars have a custom exhaust system, and they both sound unreal. N55 arguably sounds better. It always has been, and people, they disagree with that. However, when you actually come down to the nitty-gritty of it, it is a superior sounding engine. And like I've mentioned, every mod that's been fitted to this car, the Forge Motorsports blow-off valve, which sounds something like this. Unreal. And it just adds so much character, as if the N55 didn't come with enough character from factory as it is. Fitting all these subtle mods like I have done over the past year and a bit that I've owned this car, it adds so much more character. And obviously, not to mention the performance. Yes, the B58 is in a league of its own for performance-wise. Out of the box, without any bolt-ons, just kind of map it and go, the B58 is in a league of its own. Everybody knows that, and you'd be an absolute idiot to not realise that. The N55, though, like I've said from day one, it has that character, and when you put your foot down, it embeds that into you even more. And this car handles like an absolute dream. It is incredible, apart from the fact that it is very droney when you're going up a hill, so it's going forth to try and shut it up a little bit. However, this car won't get old, and it's such a shame in the fact that when cars get old, they develop more issues, maintenance becomes higher. It is a shame, because this car pulls. It really pulls. It just wants to just go and go and go and go. It's very easy to break the law in this car, very easy. And that's the loop completed. We're back at the original spot. So let's park this up and see what it looks like from the outside yet again. As you guys would have seen from those clips, the driving POVs, the in-person noises that this car has, it's a pleasure to drive. But here's the reality. The N55 is pressing on now. It's getting old. More miles, more maintenance, and as much as I love it, that's just the reality. And that's what makes this so hard. I feel like the M240i can carry the torch forward, but I'm not sure if newer always means better. Now, here's the thing about the N55. With age, they get oil leaks. It's just more maintenance on spending for parts, things break, and that's like any car. And I'm not dissing the N55 in any way, because even the B58 in years to come, they're going to have issues like the N55s do now, because they're approaching that well over the 10-year age mark, and this car is approaching that very soon. This car that I'm sitting in has built the channel. Every mod, every late night drive, every piece of maintenance that I've filmed and I've recorded and I've put it on the channel, this car has helped build this channel from the ground up. I'm extremely thankful for that. And this is the crazy thing about cars. Now, I hear a lot of people say to me, a car is just to get you from point A to point B. And I couldn't disagree with that statement more than anything in the world. I think that statement is the stupidest thing ever, because cars are more than that. Some people just see them as metal and glass. And yes, that is exactly what they are. However, if you've driven an N55, you'll realize it's something more than that. And this is the hard part which comes next. I don't think the M240i with the B58, I don't know if it can carry on that journey, or maybe it can. And for those of you wondering, there's big things coming to the channel. I don't want to give you guys any spoilers at the moment. However, all I will say is it does involve that famous M logo, and obviously that's going to be a massive step up on the channel. So I'm not going to give away a lot more about that, but you're going to want to stay tuned. You're going to want to see the upcoming videos, because they are going to be unreal. So what's next? Let's drive this M235i home. Let's have some fun with it. Let's hear the sounds. Let's see the performance, and let's see the smile on my face. And then we'll hop in the M240i, we'll bring it up to the same location. Unfortunately, I can't drive two cars at once, however, that would be really good. And we'll talk a little bit more about that car, because that car is in a league of its own. It's incredible. And now it's time to switch up the game a little bit. Now the B58, on the other hand, a refined piece of engineering that BMW co-designed with Toyota, and maybe that's why it's so good, because Japanese engines are renowned for their performance and reliability. However, this isn't any ordinary M240i. It's got a full front mount intake, which is branded and made by Venturi. An absolutely incredible piece of kit, and a very expensive part at that. It's recently had Bilstein B6 coilovers with adaptive suspension control fitted all round. And if you've used them before on any BMW, you'll understand that they are an incredible mod. The fact that you can be driving in comfort at 1 minute, and then you can be absolutely like racing the next in sport mode is insane. So like the N55, again, just gonna let the car warm up. We're not gonna drive it hard while it's on cold oil, because even though it is the world's famous, most reliable engine, it's very important to still look after these things. Listen to the idle on this car. It sounds immense. The M240i then, let's talk about it. Now we'll be taking this one out for a very good joyride very shortly. However, before we do that, we've just got a few points to talk about. First thing I want to show you guys, if you are new to the channel and you haven't seen this B58 before, is the air intake, because this thing is a work of art. Now this right here is the Venturi air intake, and this thing doesn't just look good, it sounds incredible. Now this thing isn't a cheap mod. This is about £1,200 in the UK, which is a lot of money for an air intake, and some of you may be thinking that's a waste of money. However, if you haven't heard this thing in person, you need to, because it adds so much more character to the already legendary B58. The cone design that this thing has, the way it sucks in air, is incredible. Now this engine looks a lot different than the N55's engine bay, and that's because BMW, they basically re-engineered the entire engine up. From the ground up they built this engine. It's a completely new design. Now obviously with that new design there's a load more improvements. This car is running a stage 2 MHD OTS tune. Now that's claimed around 450 fly horsepower with the right fuel. I'm yet to get it on the dyno, that will be soon, so if you want to see that, make sure you're following along to the channel, because this thing will scream on the dyno. The N55 did. I'll put a clip on screen now, and I think this thing will be louder. Because the exhaust system on this F22 is no joke. I thought my N55 was loud. The B58 is another level. There are obviously a lot more upgrades that have gone into this. Like I've mentioned, suspension, we've done carbon fiber bits, brakes, body kits, you name it. It's had a lot done to it. However, that doesn't take away the character of the M235i. Now that we've discussed a little bit about the mods, I think it's only best, now that this car is warmed up, now that we've got good oil and coolant temperature, to take this thing for a drive and see really what the power delivery is like and how this thing makes me smile. Does it make me smile more than the M235i? You'll have to find out in just a second. The engine's had a good while to warm up now, so I think it's time to have some fun and open up this thing a little bit. And the rigidness that this thing has in sport with the adaptive suspension control, it is incredible. I mean, that does put a smile on my face. car is no slouch. This thing is no slouch. Yeah, this is a fast car. This is a fast car. It's fast in its own ways. It's the initial get up and go is just so much more there compared to the N55. The N55, I've always said it, it's like an NA car. You kind of have to get it going, you have to get it revved up to feel its potential. The B58 on the other hand, we're in sport mode and it just wants to kill somebody. It's mad. And the induction sound with this even truer, with the window down, you've got the prime of it. You've got the exhaust tone at the back, and then you've got the air intake at the front. You've got the best of both worlds, where you can hear the incredible air intake sounds, and then also the exhaust at the same time, which is quite a rare thing to have on cars. You don't usually get both. Alright, let's open this thing up a little bit. Yeah. This thing's fast. And a hell of a lot of fun. She goes, man. This thing goes. And another thing I love about this car, which I'd love to get coded in, the auto rev match. If the M235i had this, it'd be a different story. But we're back at location, so let's film the rest of this video. So let's turn this thing off and let's carry on talking about this glorious engine. So now that driving trip was done, and I must admit, this thing puts a smile on my face too. This car can't be slept on. It's got so much potential and it is stupidly fast. However, now that the fun has been taking place and we've had our fun, we gotta talk seriously. I've literally been sat here doing this thing. Listen to the grunt that this engine has. The car, this engine has got so much grunt, it kind of rattles the car. It's insane. This engine, man, it just sounds like it just wants to just kill something. It sounds so angry. Here's one thing that is kind of getting to me. It's the initial rev up that these cars have. Don't get me wrong, they're completely different designed engines, and obviously the N55 is renowned for its sound, and we're not comparing them. However, what do you guys think to the sound of this B58? It's got a full custom exhaust. I won't go into too much detail in this video. However, I would like to know your opinion of what you think this thing sounds like. And I know some of you may have got distracted by the exhaust tone. However, if you're listening carefully, you would have heard the air intake sound, because this thing has this kind of turbo flutter and just this pre and post induction sound that is just so captivating. So while I'm sitting here, I was thinking, maybe newer doesn't always mean better, and maybe older doesn't always mean worse. But one day I'm gonna have to choose, and that choice is gonna be one which is gonna be really, really difficult. So kind of my grand finale kind of wrap up to this video is, if you had to choose one, which one would it be? The M235i with its rawness, with its character, with the blow-off valve which sounds amazing, the high-pitched screaming it has, almost at redline, or the M240i with a B58 which has the capabilities to just push incredible horsepower. It's a really polished and refined platform. And this is the question that I literally can't get out of my head. And it's not just about which car I drive, it's about the future of the channel and where we go from here. I guess the grand finale question I have for you guys is, if you had to choose one, which one would it be? If I had to choose, currently, I don't know, and I'm not quite sure where to go from here. So I'm going to turn to you guys in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, you can give it a like. If you want to see more content like this and the future and all the loads of crazy stuff coming, then you can subscribe. Apart from that, I'm going to think about this a little bit more, and obviously I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching today. Have a good evening, have a good morning, or have a good rest of your day in general.